Good day everyone, Quillian0 here giving you a non-spoiler review for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. So, just as a disclaimer, I really enjoyed the Star Wars universe, but I have not read any of the books and comics, so about everything I know about Star Wars are from the movies only. Without further ado, let's get started. Let me just lay out how my reviewing system works in my reviews. There'll be 4 categories, 3 marks for the first 3 and 1 mark for the final 1, so making this a 10 out of 10 review system. They are as follows. The first one will be the story or the plot, second one is the CGI or graphics, third one's for the acting, and the final one will be a bonus fan mark or any bonus points for scenes that may stuck with you after the film. So this is to give credit where credit is due. The idea here is to try to avoid as much bias as possible that would affect the marks, but this is not perfect and I may change it in the near future because, hey, I'm only human. So, the first point, the plot, and oh man, what can I say? You can tell that J.J. Abrams and his crew has gave it their all to try to save this movie. Especially from the direction that this franchise has taken for this trilogy. What was presented to us here felt like 2 movies, which I think has huge potential to make this work by the way, mashed into one. But let me be clear. Although I say there's a lot of potential to make this work, I still disagree with many of the major decisions that has been made, and then I think there are other paths that they could have taken that will not break the law of episodes 1 to 6 while keeping the continuity of this trilogy. That being said, this was an ambitious plot that was ruined by the pacing, which is very unfortunate because there should have been 2 movies instead of 1, like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. That was 2 movies, despite being 1 book. I mean, everything will fly by you so fast that I barely had time to process the information that was presented. Trust me, I tried my best to pay attention. It felt as if they are shouting, next, next, next scene in the editing room, and I find myself sitting there thinking, when did they ever do that? So because of this, you can expect a lot of Deus Ex Machina going on, and not in a good way. Some new characters have been introduced in this movie, trust me this is not a spoiler, who did nothing for the film. Seriously, take them out of the movie and nothing would have changed. The main characters just blew right through most of the challenges pretty easily and there was no point for the new characters. If you have watched the trailers, you would know that this is a bold step towards an old direction, but it has totally derailed the lore from episode 1 to 6, and there's already plenty of videos talking about that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it in this video. Character development has been damaged by the pacing. No one had time to develop their arcs, both the old and new characters. They just sped right by and then you barely know about the new characters or why they're even there in the first place. And this was really unfortunate because I thought some of them seemed to have a very interesting relationship with the characters. But yes, there's a but. For those who are unfamiliar with Star Wars and its lore, and if you do not really care about the storyline and is just there for the spectacle, I think you may actually enjoy this movie because it is a spectacle. Especially for those who enjoy a big science fiction movie, I would definitely recommend you to go and watch this movie. But be warned, because this is episode 9, you may be a bit lost because they do show all the old characters from the previous movies. Well, maybe not all, but most of them. And the movie does expect you to know who they are and then what is their role in the current storyline. Besides that, there are places where they added in some jokes. Sometimes they are funny, sometimes they are a bit stale. But I think they've done okay. Now, scoring time. I really wanted to give the plot a 2 out of 3 because I know that this is 2 movies worth of material in one. But in good conscience, I just can't because the pacing has not gave me a good movie experience, especially for the Star Wars genre. So with a heavy heart, I guess I have to give it a 1 out of 3. It has huge potential, but the pacing killed it. Moving on to the second part, the CGI or graphics. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was fantastic. They have not pulled back any punches to present this beautiful universe to us. There was not a single scene where I thought, hey, that looks bad, or felt that something is out of place. The only con I can think about is, once again, the editing. It has cut away so much of the beautiful setups that it was really disappointing. Just when a cool scene comes in, it was taken away just a split second later. At least it felt like that. So it's truly a disappointing aspect for me. But despite all that, with what I saw, I think this deserves a 3 out of 3. Huge thumbs up for the CGI or graphics department. It's just great. Third point, acting. I may be in the minority here, but I think the acting is alright. There wasn't anyone where I thought, man, I wish they'd just go away now. No one acted too pretentiously, nor annoyingly if it's not their role. When they delivered their lines, they did it the best they could, especially the cheesy ones. But even I, with my imagination, I don't know how to deliver it better. So no one felt like they're out of place in the Star Wars universe, and that's really important for me. For your reference, where my standards are for an out of place actor, or for someone who does not belong, think of Aaron Taylor Johnson in 2014's Godzilla, maybe even Emilia Clarke and Jai Courtney in Terminator Genesis. I'm not saying they're bad actors, I'm just saying that they don't fit. No, I'm not saying that this movie has Oscar level acting either, but there aren't any bad ones. I think it's good enough. So for this category, I think I'll have to give it a 2 out of 3. I think it is good enough. And finally, our last point. Were there any scenes that tickle my fanboyism, or scenes where I say, wow, that was a great scene, that was the highlight of the movie? Were there any of these things that will earn the movie an extra point? You know, when I watched episode 1 to 6, I tried to read just as much as I could about the story that drove the characters from Wikipedia and Wikipedia, to know what the stakes are and to know why things happened the way they did. I think I got a good grasp of the general idea what happened in those movies and why I root for the characters. I have to admit that I feel that this movie felt like a slap in the face for anyone who made efforts to understand anything that happened in the previous episodes, but that's all I'll say here. Were there any scenes that made me say, wow, that scene is inspiring, or I will remember that moment, or any scenes that I thought was the highlight? No. All scenes felt bland. There was no wow moment to discuss after the movie. There was no Rohirrim charge. There were no bear attack moments. There's no church scene moments. In the end, there wasn't much you can talk about. The movie is just there. So sadly, I'll have to give this a 0 out of 1. There wasn't anything that deserves a mark for both the fan or the casual viewer. So all in all, the scoring is a 6 out of 10. It is an above average movie. It is not a bad movie by any means. It is just unfortunate that the franchise has taken this direction, and you can really feel that the crew has done whatever they could to try to salvage the story. For those who do not care about the lore or do not really understand it, and for those who just wants a high budget, beautiful CGI, beautiful music, popcorn sci-fi movie, I think you would give this a 7 out of 10. But for those who care and consider themselves fans, even a movie-only Star Wars fan like myself, I think this movie is only an above average, which is a shame. So, that's it for this review. Have a good day.